welcome back to the Talking Wednesday podcast. This week it is again Dex and Worko for you. Worko turning up, showing some skin, as you can see. It is very warm.
Yes,
but
I was trying to bring back the old joke from the My Sharona days of just freezing in place and making people think that, you know, the connection was. Listen, the brain has fried my heat. The brain has fried my heat.
The old pregnant pauses.
Yes,
me and Jake used to do the old pregnant pauses. Yeah,
the goddamn heat has fried my brain. I don't know what's happening, but yes, I'm channeling my inner home and away / neighbours today. Sun's out, guns out, and all the rest of it. But it's warm.
Well, I've got a dehumidifier on in this office. It's horrific. I've got a dehumidifier on and a fan on. It's currently still 46% humidity in this room with the dehumidifier on. I think when we turned it on yesterday, this office was like near to 80. It's horrific.
You know what's really funny as well? You know, one of Jake's aircon unit machine things, you could have got that in December for like 100 quid. And now they're about 400, 500 quid at the moment.
Yeah. I always buy like, you know, like the big metal fans and stuff like that. I buy them in winter when they're on sale. That's usually the way about it. At my mum and dad's, we've got like one of those aircon units like Jake that you throw the thing out the window. And I was going to borrow it for the summer, but it is an absolute unit.
Yeah,
it's literally an aircon unit, but it's so heavy to move it here. And I'm just trying not to be in the office that much. I mean, this is one of them cooler fans that you put ice in the top and it draws from it. But they don't work. They're great for like, I'd say 25 degrees and lower. But when you're here and you push in the 30s and 30s and above, which it is at the minute, it's it just struggles. It does just struggle because it doesn't get cold enough. But yeah, I'm sure everybody is feeling the heat. There is a lot of heat being placed on Sheffield Wednesday, and there's a lot to talk about at the minute, Jack. But before we get into everything Sheffield Wednesday, how's your week been, my friend?
It's been all right. Just more of the same from last time, really. Just it's the annoying thing where you're doing so much behind the scenes that no one can know. But I feel like so all consumed by it at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, we should have a catch up actually, because we haven't really talked about what you're doing behind the scenes. So I'm as in the dark as the audience.
So effectively, you know how people on YouTube do those very audiobooky style, but with images from things, and it's kind of like you retelling a story from another perspective, or like, you know, I don't know, what if this happened in this movie? What would the implications of that be? All that sort of stuff. Or like, for example, what I'm doing at the moment is, what if seasons 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones were good? And, you know, that
also
whole
film.
Pardon?
Film. Not a movie. We're not American.
I know. I've been. The problem is, so many of the stuff that is all about it is all just American people.
Movie.
Like, movie. Oh my God. Movie. I saw this movie. Like, no. I can't believe I just said that out loud, by the way. You know when you become a bit self-aware about something you've just said, but you said it I just had one of those self-aware moments.
The more self-aware you can get, my friend, the better.
Yeah. I hate this. I hate that I do that sometimes. My mouth works faster than my brain. And but that's what I'm working on. Is stuff like that, because people have said that I've got a very good narratory voice and everything, and
you do.
I've got some good ideas for things story-wise.
I picked up on it the first time I met you. I was like, yeah, your voice is good for this sort of thing. It's just consistency, Jack. But no,
it's good that
you're working on things.
I also played my first ever game. Get ready for this, of Dungeons and Dragons the other day.
Wow.
Yes. And you know what? I don't even care. I loved it. It was
quite fun,
amazing.
Isn't it? Like,
it's very, very fun.
We did it for Soph's brother's birthday. Like a few years ago. I think it was his 16th or 18th we did it for? Must have been one of those.
It's so fun.
But like, I'm trying to work out because I think he's just turned 21, so I was trying to work it out. But yeah, we did it with all the family, and I was so drunk because I was like this elf, and I'd got like a keg that I'd just wrapped around and painted, and it was like I'd put like elven mead on it, but it was quite strong. It was like quite strong ale. And I just literally was just there throughout the entire D&D session, just finishing off this keg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my recollection of the evening. It was fun. But yeah, no, it's like Baldur's Gate is basically D&D and stuff. So I think a lot more people are into it now, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's a bit more in depth. I think Baldur's Gate, the game, Baldur's Gate 3, very much, it like simplified a lot of the elements, and it worked. It also does. There's a lot of maths involved with Dungeons and Dragons, and effectively it does all of that for you. So you don't need to worry about that when you're playing like Baldur's Gate 3. But
that's why I like it.
You actually need to do it yourself when you're doing the actual D&D game. So that was interesting. And sometimes when you get those fluke dice rolls, you can like over succeed or over fail as well. So say like, I don't know, what happened to me was my character was rescuing someone from a prison cell. I effectively smashed the chains and had to do a dice roll for that. But because I did so well in the dice roll, I smashed the chains to the point where the hands broke off their arms with them. So, you know, stuff like that can happen as well, which is why, and there's like a big left turn, and then it's so fun. It's really interesting. But yeah.
And now all of our audience have turned off.
Yes. So how's your week been?
Yeah, good. I did. Where is it? I've tuned this down to drop B, my old Schecter. And I've been having a play with drop B tuning, which is, if anyone knows, is the Slipknot tuning. I've never gone that heavy, and I'm trying. It's like, I need to learn new shapes and things like that because, yeah, as I said, I don't say anything about projects I'm working on, etc. But this is sort of something that's in the pipeline a little bit. And I was like, I bought some, if a guitarist out there will know, I bought beefy strings. They're called beefy slinkies, basically, so I could properly drop tune, because I'm not a drop tuner. Like, I figured this out, like, I've got a Strat that I play all the time. And as soon as even when I dropped down to B, I was just going very bluesy, because I'm just a bluesy player. I'm always like round the pentatonic and stuff like that. And I just realized that drop B is just the same pattern, just chugged all the time, and you don't really go that bluesy. Yeah. I'll put the microphone. I've been playing about with that. I've been doing a lot of work. I'm actually doing some work after this for the new position that I'm starting next month. So I'm sort of going down to deal with the formal side of all of that, which will be fun on the hottest day of the year, I'm sure, because it's the hottest day of the year so far today, apparently.
Oh, great. Amazing. That explains a lot, actually. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... Me and Soph have already said, like, we might just have to live downstairs, because the downstairs in the house is quite cool compared to the upstairs. So we might just have to
does
move
after
down
all
there.
rise thanks to convection currents, which I totally didn't at all cover in my geography degree.
Yeah, that geography degree you've done a lot with, haven't
great.
you?
Yeah, so much. I've done so much. Apparently...
I must say, I've known quite a few people do geography degrees, and none of them have done anything with them. Actually, that's a lie. One of my mates did geography and geology, and he does work with rocks.
Oh, he's a soil licker. I see. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But everyone else is
like a lump of granite, like it's some sort of deity. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the thing is, I just remember, like, we always used to get stick for going and do arts degrees that were like performance or music or drama. Oh, what are you going to do with that? More people I know have gone into the industry of the arts with performance, dance, drama, music, than people have gone into something with a geography degree. You want to talk about the most useless degree? Your degree.
And yeah. And also, that's just sparked off a reminder in my head of like music topics. You know, when they say like you've got to get to a certain mental headspace and then suddenly you become a Radiohead fan. That's been me recently. Yeah. I've entered the mental domain of actually being a Radiohead fan now. So that's fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
As if you couldn't get
any
more
literally before you called me up, I was actually listening to Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead.
It's the old joke with Radiohead, isn't it? The Radiohead,
you don't
he
become
tunes
a
his
Radiohead
guitar
fan.
and all the audience are like, oh, it's a new song.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I will say, welcome to the new audience. We've had a lot more newer listeners flood in during the January madness. This is a bit, the way the podcast work, it is a bit scuffed. We do start talking nonsense at the start of the podcast as we then go into it.
Because we are people. We are more than the subject matter we talk about, you know?
That's
hope
true, but also,
like us for us
I just want to clear
up
the clips, Jack, because for people who, to be honest, it's the people that won't watch this. The clips, we've had a few comments going like, why are you always late with the news, etc. This is where we talk about the podcast. You guys who were listening to this, that have listened to this for a long time, know this. This is where everything is there. The clips are the bite-sized pieces that can be up to a week later.
Yes.
Literally from the podcast that are just there to draw in the people that don't watch full-length content. So yes, when I posted about the embargo yesterday, I had loads of people going, oh, it's a bit late, this one, lads. I'm like, yes, we talked about it a week ago.
You will have seen it.
There's so
in a more timely manner.
News
but watch
throughout the week.
/listen to the podcast.
There was a video every single day. And to be honest, the embargo one was meant to go a day before, but then we had the Danny stuff, so I made a video instead. Like, we had enough content for every single day last week because the state the club's in. So yes, that's how Talking Wednesday Clips works. Talking Wednesday Clips basically brings people to the podcast. That is the plan. That is why we do it. It's to be like, these are the bite-sized chunks, that this is a topic that we've already talked about on the podcast. But people who are just searching on YouTube for, Wednesday Takeover, Wednesday, blah, 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 they're not necessarily going to find this podcast in their algorithms, but those specific targeted videos that are the topics are how we do it. So for people that were wondering about that, because there was a few, because that's always happens when we have an influx of new audience, which we have done, which is nice. Obviously sad that it's come about the circumstances where the club's in turmoil again. But yes, that is why we do that. I've even made the first proper Wednesday short in a long time. So we're even doing short stuff.
Are we doing shorts? I mean, the new kit hasn't been announced yet, so who knows? Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
Do you want to know how much that short made, by the way? Bear in mind it did over 1,000 views like the videos do.
Yes.
Do you want to know how bad short revenue is? Do you know how much it made?
Well, they are
7p.
nerfing that. You can thank
7p.
AI content for that. 7p, yeah. You can thank AI content for that because it's saturating everything.
So it said, you'll get paid 12p per 3,000 views or whatever it was. And that is so, if you are on YouTube, that is so different. That is why you get all this fodder in shorts, because people
just sit there
get
with
paid
VO2.
if they're going to make any money.
And then, spam out 20 videos a day or 20 shorts a day and then just pepper them on there. And that's why Google are actually paying so much less now for the shorts and everything, because they were just losing money hand over fist for a little bit because of all of that. So they're tightening the ship now. So that's why it's only 7p.
But yeah, it was just it's just funny because compared to what you usually get, because it's not in your contract. You can't specifically talk about specifics, etc. But let's say RPM, depending on the time of year, you're looking at a few quid per 1,000 views, right? Let's just use that as an example. When I looked and it said advertisers will pay 12p per 3,000 shorts views, I was like, no wonder that explains why you get so much rubbish.
Yep.
On here. But yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to talk Sheffield Wednesday, Jack, because we're already like 15 minutes in and it's hot. And we're going to be here probably sweating in all these. This funny thing is when we put the clips out this week, by the time we get to like the last clip, we're probably just going to be drenched.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Like we've done the Ice Bucket Challenge, or wishing we'd done the good old Ice Bucket Challenge from a few years ago. Bloody hell.
Oh, God, I did that. I did do that. I was in uni at the time. So let's start with the news. I'm not starting with like the biggest stories. I've decided to start with something positive. That the Owls are into preseason, Jack. They're at St. George's Park. Yeah. We didn't really talk about the fact that they're now at St. George's Park. So they're there. That's the first bit of news. I imagine you've got too much to say on that, but I will open the floor to you. The Owls are at St. George's Park, Jack. Well,
it's just interesting because they obviously clearly made some sort of arrangement last season, because how the hell would they have paid for that, for the privilege of that, when...
Rangers have paid it basically as a scouting mission by the looks of it. Yeah. So their scouts can stand on the side and go, oh, we'll have that one, we'll have that one, we'll have that one.
Yep, all the Premier League academies will have sent all their scouts to it so they can be like, okay, it's like those bloody, the... Every like summer they do a free agent 11 versus free agent 11, and then just it's like last chance saloon to find a higher up club, and then after that, yeah. Loads of scouts must have been treating Wednesday's training sessions as that because we're just getting stories all the time, aren't we? Of like, oh, this under 21 player could be leaving, this under 21 player could be leaving, and it's just good grief. It's
It is fun. It is fun. Oh, yeah, by the way, Jake was saying something about your audio last week. Apparently, it was coming in really, really hot. So I've also forgot to mention that before the podcast. Yeah. So if Jack's audio is a little bit...
Well, I have altered it a little bit. I have like reduced the decibel number that it's recording.
Yeah, that's fine. It's because I put your normal preset that I made on.
Yeah.
So I was like, something must have changed on your end.
Yeah, I had a look and it was set to... Effectively, the gain level was set to 36 decibels last week, whereas I normally have it at 30. Right. So I've turned it back down to 30 again. So hopefully that's better.
That will make the difference, obviously, when I crank it to sort of broadcast settings as well. So that was just me. To be honest, I've got such a good sound system here. Humble brag. But like I didn't really notice. But then as soon as I put it through the phone, I was like, this is why
it sounded just really distorted. And yes.
But yeah, at least we're in preseason. Now, this could have very easily also been the top story, and it potentially will link into it because when this was announced, we thought it would mean something different. So this is from the Wednesday website. Henrik Pedersen extends Owls' contract. The Owls can announce that Henrik Pedersen has extended his contract as assistant manager. Pedersen joined Wednesday in October 2023 and played a key role in helping the club seal championship survival against the odds. Then the following season, the Owls cemented their second-tier status. The vastly experienced Dane now joins the squad at St. George's Park as the players are put through their paces at the world-renowned training facility. Pedersen told SWFC.co.uk, quote, "When the opportunity presented itself and the chairman asked me to extend my current contract with the club, I didn't hesitate. It's no secret that my family and I have fallen in love with this great club and also this wonderful city that has made us so welcome. The fans are what carries the club through the tough games, good times and bad, and our supporters are the best. I'm excited to continue my role at the club and getting back to work supporting the team and working with the great group of players we have. To the fans, I look forward to seeing you all again soon." End quote. Now, Jack, this was the first bit of like positive news. We were like, look, he's signed on as assistant manager, but this is going to be our manager. Obviously, the next story we talk about after this, that's not potentially going to be the case, but Pedersen re-signing at Sheffield Wednesday. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's interesting because the actual quote that he says is very manager-like, isn't it? About how much it's all about the fans and the entire reason that he re-signed was the fans, and he seemed to stress that quite a lot. He barely mentions the actual chairman other than when he asked me. Like a lot of people, when they see, at other clubs, when you see contract extensions and stuff, they always talk about how the owner has made them feel so welcome and this, that, and the other, and then it's kind of equally parted praise for the owner, praise for the fans. Whereas this, is basically like the owner's barely even got much of a mention. In fact, it's just the chairman that he sort of offhand says, and then he just goes into this adoration fest about the fans, and I like that a lot because that's definitely not what we've had from the actual manager for the last 2 years, really. To be honest, the attitude, it's so weird because all of the events recently have kind of put this lens over Danny Röhl's behaviour for the last sort of 2 years, and it's always been a bit like, yeah, the fans are great, but I'm better. I don't know if that's the vibe that you've got now, looking back over that about Danny Röhl. But
I didn't get that vibe. I thought Danny was sincere in a lot of that. In fairness, because I will give the other side sort of. I've had enough people literally piling into the fact that I've given Danny any criticism because how dare you criticize him? How dare you say that the fans are criticising him? How dare you? Because I don't believe that, so that means other fans can't.
But this is also the sad thing, is that we're talking about Danny. Like, this is generally speaking as well, like social media, everything. The conversation shifted all towards Danny again, whereas we've got
this is
Pedersen
Henrik's
here,
time.
who's actually just having this outpouring of love towards the fans, and yet everything's still a lot about Danny rather than him. Whereas I personally feel, great, this is give him the manager job then. If this is his attitude, that it's all about the club and all about the fans and sticking together, give Pedersen the job. Like, granted, Danny
I
can't...
feel, Jack,
I think that was the plan originally.
He signs this contract. You what, sorry?
I think he signed this in with that in mind, that he would be then made the manager, personally.
This is what this is what I was about to say. I think he signed this thinking, I'm going to be the manager.
Yeah.
And if you believe the whispers that, there's a bit of discontent there sort of thing. There's people saying that, and I don't know the validity in this. I've heard the rumors like everybody else that him and Danny don't see eye to eye sort of thing anymore after the end of the season or whatever. That's again rumors, vast speculation, as many of you would say.
With a
indeed. But I think you look at Waddle with Henrik at the start of the summer.
Yeah.
On the holidays somewhere, Waddle leaning over Henrik going, don't worry, Wednesday fans, everything's going to be all right. This was around the midst of the Röhl sort of situation.
Yeah.
It looked like everything was shaping up in place for Henrik to be our manager. And when this was announced, I feel like this was going to be the thing. Now, this could still end up being the thing, right? Röhl might get a move at some point. It might still happen. It's looking less likely now. But Henrik, this could cause, a few ruptures there. I really actually thought it was the start of positivity. I was like, yes, he's signed, which means he'll be our manager. We can start looking forward. But it has been cast into question with Röhl obviously announcing, the reports of his return, etc. Because now, what happens with the relationship with Henrik? Henrik's obviously a professional. I'm sure he'll go there. But
yeah,
I think the fans would have bought into. I know the fans would have bought into Henrik being our manager. I certainly would have, Jack.
Yeah, I would.
Do you feel he's been done a little bit here with that?
I think so, because I kind of thought, I wonder if everyone went into this, him re-signing the deal as it with like Danny's gone is a concrete thing. Like, he's not coming back. This is the manager, and then it almost seems to be like Röhl actually returning to the club has kind of thrown a spanner in the works to that whole thing. And I don't know. I just personally, I'm just angry that he didn't. I don't know. Well, it's a lot of my thoughts are to do with the following article, which is, I sort of wish that Henrik was the manager going forwards, frankly, with this attitude that he's got about the club and the fans and everything.
I think it would have been a fresh sort of slate in terms of manager. And it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic works with Henrik.
As well, though, it's not like it would be a subpar appointment to Danny, because...
No, absolutely not.
What's been reported as well is that a lot of the in possession, or it's either in possession or it was the out of possession tactics
It's the on the ball stuff with Henrik.
Yeah, on the ball stuff was all Henrik. That was all him. It was the off the ball stuff that I don't know, skepticism, whatever, speculation, didn't go as well last season as the on the ball stuff. When we had the ball, we were great. It was when we were off the ball that players weren't kind of doing as well last season, in my opinion. So if we've
it's
got
worth
that,
mentioning, he's also been a manager 4 times.
Yeah,
Henrik,
yeah.
So
definitely.
he's got managerial experience.
I sort of wish it was Henrik now, personally. I don't know if I'm fully behind Henrik.
I guess we'll have to see how it develops, Jack. That's all we can do.
Civil War. It's like the marketing for Avengers, for Captain America Civil War all over again, except it's Röhl and Henrik. Good grief.
Okay, let's get into the story. There's no point just talking about Henrik with it. The big story that we've been referring to a lot in the last topic. BBC Sport. Sheffield Wednesday boss Röhl to return to club. The article reads as follows. Sheffield Wednesday boss Danny Röhl is to return to the club. The Championship side, who are under a number of embargoes because of financial issues, came back in for pre-season last month, but Röhl has not been present. Even before the club ran into problems that caused wage payments to be delayed for both May and June, it had looked likely that the German would depart the Championship side. However, with owner Deshvan Chansiri now keen for a sale to be completed as soon as possible, Röhl has elected to return. The 36-year-old took over at Wednesday in October 2023 and led them to a 12th place last season, having helped them pull off the miraculous escape from relegation in 2023-24. Wednesday start the new season with a trip to Leicester City, who Röhl has been linked with, on Sunday, the 10th of August. So, initial thoughts before we get into it. We are going to do this as a 2-article headline because something I predicted and something I thought might happen has happened, and I got a lot of pelters for it. Before we talk about that, and I do be a little bit smarmy, whatever you want to call me, what were your thoughts when this first reported, obviously, that Danny was coming back, Jack?
I'm like 50-50 on it. There's 2 possible scenarios in my head that are equally weighted at the moment, and it's number 1 is effectively Danny's heard the rumblings that we haven't, because then NDAs will be thrown around like bloody sweets at this point, given that there's the third party that's in charge of making sure the sale happens. He'll have known about that sort of stuff and the details of it, and will stick around, and possibly is even wanted by the new ownership model that wants to come in and buy the club and all the rest of it. So that's why he's returned. The scenario B, that is equally weighted in my head to scenario A, is that his own behaviour in the off-season and flaunting himself around and all the rest of it and touting himself for all these new jobs, and also the release clause on him as well, has all put off other clubs and nobody else wants him. So now he's got to come back and fulfill his contract as the Wednesday manager. So
and I'm
50-50 between
I must
the
say,
2.
our audience, there were a lot of the comments that were sort of like a bit more, let's say, harsh in the comment section to the video I made were newer viewers to the channel.
Yeah.
The people I could see that regularly comment on our videos and have seen the nuanced conversations we've had about Danny could see both sides. I liked what Danny did at the club, right? Can I put that down straight away?
Likewise.
I think Danny is a good manager, but I think when his head was turned in January, we saw a different side to Danny Röhl.
Yes.
Right? And that's when I started to slowly decline in my estimations of him, and the way he behaved was appalling. I don't care who he works for.
Yeah.
And I will keep banging this drum, right? You can call me what you want with it. I will keep banging this drum that he acted unprofessionally. When the players turned up, he didn't. He's now coming back literally a day after Henrik was announced that he was staying. Danny walks through. You could say, does he know that Henrik signed on because he's talked with Danny, etc.? I think it's the opposite. I think Henrik signs that contract thinking he'll be the manager, and then it ends up being more of a case of, Danny's like, I might even lose my job there. I better go back.
Yeah.
So I'm not in breach of contract and whatever, because I think he has been touted about, and it's not happened. We know he's been flirting with every other club, and I don't think anyone wanted to pay the release, so he's decided to come back.
I mean, there's also a
I will
conspiracy
say I'll
theory
fully
in my
back
head.
him.
Oh,
Jack,
sorry, carry on.
No, I will say I'll fully back him because he'll be the Sheffield Wednesday manager, and I will. And I'm not going to discredit what he has done previously, but I can criticise his behaviour very recently. Go on, Jack, what were you saying?
The conspiracy theory in my head is that towards the end of the season, Chansiri could have actually maybe even told Danny, go off and find yourself this new, this other club that will come in and pay your release clause, because I need the 5 million to pay people in the summer. And we'll be dead in the water, and there'll be all sorts of problems if we don't get that. So I'm a little bit, just because of his behaviour and how Chansiri was dead silent throughout the whole time of all of that, I just sort of think that maybe he's listened to instructions from Chansiri to advertise himself out there, but has done it in the wrong way that's actually put people off him rather than attract him. Does that make sense? Like, he's just marketed himself in the complete wrong way, and has actually it's all backfired.
He could have done it on the quiet.
Yeah.
He could have done it on the quiet,
exactly.
And we wouldn't be talking about all this. What I did say in that video is, yes, we know players have handed in their notice because that's their contractual right. Not everybody. It was like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But he threw down a gauntlet of I want out. That's not going to look good with certain players, potentially the young ones. Or do you have a belief in us as a squad? Do you have a belief in your staff? The staff are going to be like, hang on, we turned up. You didn't.
Yeah.
Why are we here and you're not? And I said that could cause rifts. You can imagine that some people will not be too happy with that. And then I did get pelters for that. And then a few hours later, I was very happy to read the Star exclusive that says Sheffield Wednesday player reaction to Danny Röhl news leads to further Owls questions. The article reads as follows. It was reported this week that Sheffield Wednesday manager Danny Röhl was electing to return to Hillsborough after missing the start of pre-season. The German has been subject to speculation for months now, with a number of clubs both in England and Germany believed to have shown interest in the undoubtedly talented young manager. It's not long since that it was revealed that negotiations were underway between manager and the club that would see him eventually move on from S6, but this week's U-turn, as reported by Radio Sheffield, threw things back up in the air once again. It came just a couple of days after it was confirmed that Henrik Pedersen had agreed to extend his stay, with the club announcing him as assistant manager, and the expectation would be that he would eventually move up into the managerial role once Röhl's situation was finalised. The latest news blurred the lines, and the Star understands that Pedersen's decision to re-sign at Hillsborough had nothing to do with Röhl's potential return, with suggestions that the two are not in regular communication. Now there's another twist in the tale, with this publication understanding that a meeting had taken place between the players and staff at their pre-season camp at St George's Park, with the general consensus being that they would prefer it if Röhl did not return. It felt like too much has happened since the end of the season, including the German's absence from pre-season, for him to walk back in. Multiple sources have suggested a return for Röhl would not be welcomed by a substantial portion of those who remain, an issue that would throw up more question marks around the future of the football club that is currently surrounded by chaos. End quote. I am not often smug on this podcast or smarmy. I don't like the fact that this is the case, by the way, but for all the people that were giving me grief, there you go, Jack.
Yeah. You know what? I'd never said it out loud. I thought this situation might come to pass as well, because of how he was touting himself so much, and it's going to be very interesting. Let's say, I think, to see what actual because I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think he's actually there yet at St George's Park. Like this,
I think he's due to arrive today actually, and go into the week. I'm not sure, but it's.
Honestly,
it was
if the players have
obvious,
got, if
Jack, that
the
some people would have the
fair
backs
play
pulled.
to them. Like,
yeah,
he's betrayed them. He's
fair play to the
effectively,
ones
there's a
that
big
have spoken
betrayal
out.
there of, right, okay, great. You don't actually give a damn about us at all. Clearly, if he just wanted to walk as much as he did, I'd feel really betrayed if, like, my manager figure or whatever. I mean, especially the younger ones, if they looked up to Danny quite a lot and his advice and all the rest of it, they'd feel really personally betrayed. Why would you welcome them back in, whoever it is, if someone had betrayed you like that and not really kind of thought that you were... I don't know. It just, you know what? Charlie the Poo on Twitter, who's quite well known amongst the Wednesday fan base, said a very good point. It's exactly like the US office where Michael is like giving it the big one about getting the big corporate job and all the rest of it, and then it doesn't materialize, and he has to just stroll back in and pretend like nothing ever happened, and everyone's really awful with him for quite a long time in the show, and it's exactly like that. And it's
just a case of like, I know that Chansiri, I don't think I wouldn't want to work for Chansiri, right? Let's get that clear.
I don't think
some players have handed their notice in because they weren't being paid. They were legally obliged to do that.
Yeah.
Danny Röhl was paid. Danny Röhl decided at the end of the season, do you know what? This squad isn't good enough. This manager there's no ambition here. I'm off. And that's fine, by the way, right? But the way he touted himself, he basically put it in the public that I want to get away from this squad as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't mean it like that, there'll be players that have inferred it. Yep. All the staff that bought into the project, we back Danny. We're going to work really hard. We're going to work our asses off to get this club into a position. Our manager's just walking out and he's trying to get an exit any way possible. He's now walking back in and they're like, we were here.
Yeah.
We decided to ride out the rough part.
Yep.
And even though some of us had ideas that we would leave, we didn't act in the manner that you did.
Yeah.
So that is going to put people's backs up. And it's obviously now happened.
There was that one comment he made, wasn't there? Do you remember? And he was like, I want to work, I want to come up against and work with the best coaches and the best players. And the inference of that is that, like, I don't think that these players and coaches and whoever else are all that good, and I want to work with with better. And it's like,
and again, even if he didn't mean to be as clumsy with his words, there are people that will take it like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I would, and I know I would personally.
Yeah, and I think he shot himself in the foot, and I am going to fully back him coming back as manager. But as I said, Jack, he's lost all the grace period.
Yep.
Like, if Danny had a tough start to the season and he'd not done all of this in the summer, we'd be going, Danny's the man to turn it around. Just back him.
Yeah, exactly.
But
he's now going to be under a magnifying glass. If he has a tough start to the season,
we'll be like, well, you've got no loyalty to us. You've only come back because you had to.
Yep.
Off you go.
Exactly.
Pedersen, take the reins, sort of thing. So Danny's backed himself. I am conscious that we've had a month, 2 months, 3 months of just negativity at Sheffield Wednesday. Let's look at the positive as we end this topic, Jack. Because we could just rant about Röhl for a long time, but I'm kind of tired of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about him next week as well. But if this looks at the positive for Sheffield Wednesday, we now have a manager that's coming back that has to perform because he's got no grace period left. If he doesn't perform for us, and he doesn't get the best out of the players and he can't keep harmony in the squad because he's lost it or whatever, we have a ambitious assistant manager that would like to be the Sheffield Wednesday manager that can step up. So basically, it's like the 2 goalkeeper situation. The number 1 could easily get dislodged by the number 2, right? Yep. And that is what could happen with Danny. So we either do well with Danny or
we do well with Henrik. Yeah.
We get Henrik in. So looking at it as a positive, that's the situation with Danny Röhl.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, I have to talk about something that's not positive again.
Well, the waters are a bit muddy on this one, but,
Yes, there's 2 articles we'll talk about. So, earlier this week, this article came out, exclusive from The Star. Scottish Giants Rangers considering swoop for Sheffield Wednesday star. Sheffield Wednesday attacker Jedi Gasama has raised eyebrows with some of his performances since moving to England. The Mauritian, who joined Owls from Paris Saint-Germain in 2023, has gone on to play 84 times, getting 16 goals and assists, becoming a favourite amongst Wednesdayites along the way. But now Gasama has entered into the final year of his deal at Hillsborough, and there is understandably growing interest in him, spurred on by the club's dire financial circumstances that have seen them default on payments to players, HMRC and other clubs. Reports recently suggested interest from Blackburn Rovers, and the Star understands that a number of Championship clubs are keeping tabs on the 21-year-old, but are believed to be very keen on him at present are Scottish Giants Rangers. The player is believed to be very happy at Hillsborough and is by no means pushing for an exit. However, his contractual situation, coupled with Deshvan Chansiri's need for income, could lead to offers being considered should they come forward. It remains to be seen at this point in time whether the Gers will come forward with an official bid, but it is thought that he is one of the names that they are considering him as an option ahead of the 25-26 campaign. Gasama isn't the only player at Wednesday believing to be attracting interest at this point in time, with other young players such as Kalen Cole-Kadamatri, Sasora Kakai and Romaro Collins all on the brink of sealing exits from S6, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now, that was going to be it, Jack. We were going to talk about the rumours of it's 2.5 million from Rangers. It barely touches the sides because apparently there's quite a heavy sell-on clause with PSG.
Yep.
So we'd probably clear just about $1 million, $1.5 million. That would all pretty much go into the wages. So we'd lose our best asset with, well, one of our best assets. Pierce Charles is probably up there as well. But we'd lose him, real star last season, for basically just to pay the wages that we can't pay, which wouldn't have been fantastic. It still could happen, but just before sitting down to record this podcast on this very warm day,
yes,
the Star, with another exclusive, says, why the hold up on Jedi Gasama's switch from Sheffield Wednesday to Rangers? Jedi Gasama is with Rangers ahead of his proposed move from Sheffield Wednesday, but is yet to be announced. So that he's there, right? Medical, etc. Done. Let's read the rest of this article. As previously reported by the Star, the two teams have agreed terms on the sale of the talented Mauritian, with the player also having finalised his personal agreement with the Scottish Giants. The 21-year-old has undergone and passed a medical, bidding farewell to his Owls teammates too. Since Monday, he's been told not to train because of his pending switch, and he's already met with Rangers managers and players, who were also at St George's Park for pre-season prior to his switch to the Ibrox. But the deal is not finalised, and it is understood that despite much documentation being completed, it has not yet been signed off by Wednesday owner Deshvan Chansiri, leaving the transfer in limbo. It has previously been reported by the Star that there is growing interest in the Owls from multiple potential buyers, and it wouldn't be a big leap to suggest that a new owner would be reticent to lose a player with Gasama's potential. It is understood that there is currently lots happening behind the scenes in what has become a bit of a scramble to try and get a deal done to buy the club, and the suggestion is that at least a couple of potential buyers are eager to try and get something wrapped up quickly in order to start remedying the club's current struggles. American billionaire John Textor is one of the names to have an interest in the Owls, while the publication is also aware of one other serious contender with links to Monaco. Many are hoping that Chansiri's tenure as an owner and chairman with the club is coming to an end. We've seen in previous deals how new owners want to make their own decisions on players, especially those with high ceilings, and the delay over Gasama's Rangers switch could be about more than just a signature at this point. End quote. Jack, please let this happen.
Yep.
I don't want him to go to Rangers. I feel like it still will happen, but please.
Can I just add to this discussion as well? Sky Sports Scotland at 10:52 yesterday
on Friday the 11th.
On Friday the Thursday. Yesterday at 10:52 a.m. On the 10th, Rangers are weighing up a move for Hull City winger Abu Kamara. Oh look, this is potentially not happening with Jedi Gasama, and suddenly they're looking at Abu Kamara from Hull City. To me, this feels like maybe it's a bit more than just, Chansiri's forgotten to do a bit of paperwork, because if every single thing has been agreed in terms of the sale of the player, and then he's not signed off on it to finalise it, it feels to me like one of the new potential owners has stepped in and said, hang on a minute, don't you dare. He's got a lot of potential, and we're not losing him for that, and we want to keep him at the club. And
we're going to talk about that ownership in a different topic. Let's talk about Gasama.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there'll be Rangers fans, if this is a clip, they'll be tuning into this.
Yeah.
2.5 million for him would be an absolute steal, which is why I want to see this blocked.
Absolute daylight robbery, frankly. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely, utterly ridiculous of a fee for
I know he's played for a struggling Sheffield Wednesday side, but his age and his potential and how well he played last season, in this market, he is worth 5 million plus. Honestly, I'd have probably been comfortable with literally 5 million more, 7.5 million for him with incentives. That's what I'd be looking at.
Yeah.
That is literally what I'd have been looking at. And the fact that it's been blocked, supposedly it is being blocked, it might still see movement because Chansiri might want, look, if Chansiri needs to keep the club going, he's going to have to sell players.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't want to see it happen, because it might indicate that Chansiri is off, which would be amazing for the club's potential. But Gasama is somebody, if I was buying that club, I'd be like, no, put the brakes on it. Yep. He is not going.
Yep. He's very much an asset to that club. We're not losing him. No. Yeah.
Or I would say renegotiate.
Yep.
I say if you're going to sell him before we come in, we need more of a kickback on him, because that is stupid.
Yeah.
That is because I think the fee to PSG could be 30 to 50%. I don't think it's 50, but it'll probably be like
it'll be 30%. I think it's a lot. A percentage. Yeah.
Which would mean that we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Rangers, if you do get Gasama, you've got a good player on your hands. He might need time, but
I'd say he's ready to go now, personally, for that league anyway.
Yeah, towards the last end of the season, you could see him struggling in certain games, but in a good side, he'd flourish.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see him being in a situation where he goes to Rangers, and in 2 years, I'm not saying Rangers aren't like a European giant, but like, your typical sort of, I could see him getting a 15 to 20, probably even a 30 million pound move. He could be with his age and his potential, he could be one of those players. He could be one of those only players that Wednesday have had in a long time.
Yep.
And I'd rather not see it happen through Rangers. I'd rather see it happen through Sheffield Wednesday. If we're going to lose him, I'd rather see us lose him and get the money for it with the sell on to the other club. I'd rather not see we get money from that deal. I'd rather have the sell on when we sell him.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
Rangers would be in for a hell of a player. But potentially we keep him, Jack. And that's what we both want. I think that's what all the fan base 100%. Wants.
I think the entire fan base don't want to lose him. And it would also make the upcoming season so much harder as well, because he's like one of the only players we have with flair and
he's the technically, apart from Bannon, I'd say he's technically our best player.
Yes.
And that's a big piece of praise, given that Bannon is so technically adept. Looking at his age, Gasama being our second most technical player is incredible, especially because he's a winger.
Yeah.
So he's one of those tricky wingers that will beat a man and not afraid of a shot. And he's humble as well, Gasama.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much. He doesn't have an ego at all, which is quite rare for
and he wants to work,
attacking player as
well. He wants to work and improve. And I like that. I like that a lot about him. And I think the fact is, I wouldn't begrudge him a move, by the way. I wouldn't be angry with him if he went to Rangers. The situation of the club is in. We know he would be happy to stay. I think if this gets called off, he'd probably be a little bit like, oh, this is awkward now. I've said goodbye and everything. But I don't think he'd be like unhappy staying at Wednesday.
Oh,
because he said how happy he is here.
Yeah.
And if there's on the up here, he has got a ceiling. Do you know all those players we lost to like Celtic, etc.? I said if they back themselves, stay at the club. I think Gasama's got enough talent to stay at Sheffield Wednesday for a couple more seasons and still get a massive move.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely, 100%. Yes.
So I think he wins either way. And I just hope Wednesday get more of a win than basically covering wages we can't pay.
Yeah. Well,
no another player.
It's like last week when I said I'm just angry.
You keep doing this when I'm trying to change topic. What? Yeah, no, sorry, what were you saying? Go on.
It's just the anger of like, it's not being done to actually further the club. It's just being done to cover Chansiri's arse with funding the club as his responsibility as the owner, It's
it's frustrating. Now another player that we might be more open to selling potentially, even though I would potentially keep him unless it's a decent fee. The Star are reporting that Sheffield Wednesday attacker looking to set for a Turkish switch. Sheffield Wednesday attacker Anthony Masaba looks set to complete a move to Turkey this week. The Star reported recently that the Turkish outfit Rispor were one of a number of clubs to have shown interest in the Dutchman. However, they appear to have been pipped to his signature by fellow Super League outfit Samunspor. According to reports in Turkey, the 24-year-old is on the brink of signing a 4-year deal with Kaminzi Shmeskela. That was perfect pronunciation, Jack. I'll have no
absolutely
slander. And this publication, is that you're. I think that's meant to say. And this publication already understands that he has left the Owls training camp at St George's Park as the involved parties look to try and get a deal done. Gashtagurkik.com.tr, again, flawless pronunciation.
Flawless.
Have said that a long-term contract is on the table and he looks to make the switch overseas. However, there has been no word yet on how much they will be paying the Owls with regards to a transfer fee. Masaba has had a good return since moving to England in 2023, getting 23 goals and assists in his 80 games in Owls colours. However, he did spend large parts of last season as a substitute under Röhl. It will be his efforts in the Great Escape season of the 23-24 that he'll be most fondly remembered for if he does end up moving on. A number of players could leave the Owls in this summer, both from the senior side of the academy. However, none have been confirmed yet to the retain list, which was released in May. Jedi Gasama's switch to Rangers, also on a long-term deal, is expected to be the next one made public, which we've already spoken about. Can I just say, as I finish this article, I can feel Joe Cran's tiredness in this article.
Bless him.
In just the way it's written compared to his usual articles, and I feel for the man literally working overtime at the minute. So that's not me criticising him here. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of say fair play
him and
for
Alex
all the articles he's having to churn out about Wednesday at the minute.
I feel so sorry for them.
But Masaba, how are you sitting on the potential Masaba exit?
I'm a bit more okay with Masaba leaving because I also feel that like the standard the sort of football they play in that league is actually more ideal for him in that it's the wingers that cut inside and don't look up and don't actually look for the pass. Well, for example, Malik Wilks has also signed for a Turkish side as well, and he was much the same. He barely ever looked for the pass. He was always cutting inside and trying for the shot. And that's very much Masaba's style too. And I just think he's the player I'm more okay with selling if it means we've got to cover wages up and everything. I'm so strong-armed in the opinion that we can't lose Deji Gasama. But yeah, I don't know. I'm more okay with this one personally, but how do you feel?
Give Masaba some credit. Towards the end of the season, he was lifting his head up a little bit more and looking for the pass, and I think that's been drilled into him by Danny and the rest of the coaching staff. No, you need to pass a little bit more. I actually think in terms of, I think the Gasama one isn't smart business. If the fee is acceptable, because we triggered an extension and we don't have an extension left on Masaba, it would be a case of new contract time. Yeah. So for me, he is potentially the one you sell. If you keep Gasama, you do not get rid of both of them in this window, which looks like Wednesday you're trying to do. Don't do that, right? Masaba is a good player. There is potential in Masaba. He's incredibly frustrating at some times. Yeah. And you can't get away with those frustrating players in the Championship. I don't know enough about the Turkish League. Maybe that sort of player with that pace, and the ability to take a shot and cut in and take a shot might be better in Turkey. But in the Championship, it doesn't always work. It's a lot more physical, you know. But I do still think he is an asset there. So if we're going to lose Gasama, that's when you throw the contract at Masaba.
Exactly, yeah.
But because he's going to be out of contract and there's no option left, this is actually smart business to sell him as he approaches the final year after he's had an option triggered. We're in that option period now where we can actually cash in on him. So if this is actually a couple of million with sell-on, I'd take it. Yeah, that's a better deal for me in this situation. Actually, you know what? I think Gasama's worth a lot more, but the 2.5 with a sell-on, I think that's Masaba's price.
Yeah, I do too.
Genuinely. And I'd take it for him. I'd wish him the best, but I'd also be opening to stay at Wednesday. Would you be happy? Would you be disappointed if this deal didn't go through, Jack? Would you be?
Oh no, he's still an asset. He's still an asset. He's just got. I just feel like he's got a lot of work to do in certain aspects of his game. Really, I feel like You know, like he needs to work. There's a lot of specifics that he needs to work on to be able to properly flourish, I feel. Otherwise, he would just be stuck on the bench. But then again, look at how many players have left in the summer. It feels like he would just be the first choice anyway to play.
Yes.
But he still needs to. There's certain things. He's not quite the finished article just yet.
He's also not as young as Gasama, so he's more of the risk to keep on. He's 24. Yeah. You know, players like now, the way football's gone,
that's
players
where you get established in how you are, and it's very difficult to break certain habits or inherit new traits at that sort of an age. You know, you get very set in how. We're
seeing more and more players in modern football get their big move at 26, Jack, on 5-year contracts. So Gasama would be coming up to that. So this could be the move that he has 2 years in Turkey. Does well, gets his final big move sort of thing.
Oh, hello, Deli Bashiru.
26.
No, yeah.
but it's the way it could easily work for Masaba. And again, I would be open to him having 2 more years with us and then see what happens at 26. Does he get his big move at 26 with us? Because that's when you find out what the player's probably going to be like as they go into their prime.
Yep, exactly.
And with modern conditioning, players do go beyond 30, but the finances sort of like if you're looking for big contracts in football, they're mainly handed to players at around 26 now. Yeah. The contracts, unless you're exceptional world class, beyond 30, they're not as good. So if you're looking for a deal that would be bigger, like you look at Masaba at 26 and you go, right, that's the player he's going to be. You'd think you'd get another 5 years out of him. We're going to sign him on that contract and that's going to be the contracted player. I do think he'd probably flourish in another league. Again, there's so many sparks of a fantastic player in Masaba, but it's just not consistent enough. I think our take would be, I'm happy either way here. As long as it's not a stupid fee, Jack. As long as it's
as long as it's not a small pennies, fee. Yeah.
Snip. Jack, I think that's the first comfort break we've ever taken a podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's horrific. Like, absolutely horrific. I've just put another ice cube in this, an ice thing in this. It would be Sheffield Wednesday to have the biggest news stories in the hottest times. Yeah. Love it. Love it. I'm glad we did have that comfort break, though, because there's been developing reports. Now, this first article is a little bit older, but just bear with us, because, oh dear, this could be good, Jack. We don't know, but it could be. Right. Exclusive from the Star. Scramble expected as Sheffield Wednesday are now on the market. The Star understands that a scramble to try and buy Sheffield Wednesday is now on the cards. Wednesday are going through a torrid time at the moment, with players and staff currently unpaid and charges having been laid against them by the English Football League. The Owls are under embargo and subject to a 3-window fee restriction due to defaulted payments, and pressure is mounting on the owner, Dos Chansiri, to sell up. It was reported recently by BBC Radio Sheffield that the club were now directing potential buyers to a professional team with a proven track record of selling football clubs. Something which this publication also believes to be true. One figure in particular, who is believed to be involved, has helped get deals over the line for both clubs in both the Premier League and EFL. With that in mind, the Star is of the understanding that several potential suitors are beginning to come forward, with talks of interest from the UK, America, and most recently a Monaco-based party. It's likely that Chansiri will have options if, as expected, he has decided the time has come to hand over the control of the Owls if the, quote, right people come forward. Wednesday are at a breaking point in many ways, considering the triple embargo that they are under and the ongoing financial debacle that plagues the club. A sale to somebody who isn't able to put right many of the fixable struggles would be incredibly welcomed by the fan base. John Textor, an American billionaire, is one man believed to have shown an interest in the Owls, while another party from the USA is also thought to be keen on the club. An increase in potential suitors could be good for Chansiri too, who may be able to push the sale price up from what will have been a relatively low starting point, considering the current status quo. Status quo. I'm not American. Wednesday are less than a week away from a number of players having served the 15-day notice that they handed in on the back of 2 months unpaid late wages. And while the process after that date remains to be seen, it doesn't bode well for the club as things stand. How long it would take for a takeover to go through should it be agreed is uncertain, but given the dire straits that the club find themselves in, it may be that the EFL is able to expedite the process in order to help the club move forward. Now, John Textor was on TalkSport. This again, we've got a couple more things to talk about. I'm going to tie in the Texter thing here because Texter was mentioned in that article. He said on TalkSport, I think Sheffield Wednesday to me is an example of what's wrong with English football because they should still have a chance at winning a championship every year and they don't. So when people talk about Manchester City having this historic win, they're not really historic when they have that kind of advantage. So I'd love to see the rules allow Sheffield Wednesday to win the Premier League again. I don't know if that day will ever happen. I think if Sheffield Wednesday finds an investor that has a lot of capital and he should be able to use that capital to climb up the table because everyone has the ability to write a cognate business plan and sell their community to a club and an investor. They are literally going to be there are literally going to be 4 or 5 big teams forever, and that's always going to be the case. End quote. So Texter basically there bringing Sheffield Wednesday up, but I would say that's mainly talking about PSR. But you saw sort of the look on Simon Jordan's face, etc.
The grin.
There is still interest from Texter there. There is that.
Yeah.
Now, this is the interesting thing. Literally, while we were having a comfort break for the heat on this podcast, yes, Alan Biggs tweets, hearing from one good source that Sheffield Wednesday takeover is in agreement with one party very close. Keyword is, quote, agreement. Would be a long way to go from there in terms of due diligence, EFL checks, etc. Agreement from Chansiri, Jack.
This is the historical thing. Sod Manchester City's historical win. Chansiri actually agreeing to a goddamn deal is the historic thing. Jesus.
I mean, I think it's probably the people he's put in place and he's gone.
But even so,
this could.
My God.
I know. What are your thoughts on that big talk I've just done?
Well, I actually, Texter makes a lot of sense there in that he's correct in everything he's said. Personally, because of all of the stuff going on in the news with Texter, he's not my preferred bidder. If he is even a bidder at all, he's been very coy about that.
I think he speaks well, though. But yeah, fair enough.
He would not be my preferred party to take over, but he does seem to have the financial backing to be able to do so, and he's got a lot of backing through other people that have been owners in the past, and all that sort of stuff. That he would be a better owner than Chansiri, but then again, I think a Cowpats would be a better owner than Chansiri given his track record. Anyway, I'm not. It's exciting, but I want to see something concrete. I don't like an agreement may be in place, and it's like, it could be there, it could be not. It's not on paper yet. Like, I don't like that. I want concrete. It's the trauma response. It's like, expect disappointment, and then you'll never be disappointed. So that's where I'm at the minute. I want the concrete confirmation, because we always know what it's like with DC and talks for selling players or selling whatever. It's always agreed until the pen's about to go to paper, and then he goes, actually, I want this one more thing, or I want that to be a bit less that I'm spending, or whatever. So
I think the difference is here, he's never agreed to a sale.
Yeah.
And if this is true, this is the first agreement we've got on whether or not they pass the due diligence texts, etc. There's been an agreement.
Yeah.
Which means that Wednesday are one step closer to getting rid of this ownership and getting out of this mess, Jack, which we need. We're literally, I'm at a point now where I don't even care which one of them it is.
Yeah.
That's been reported in all of that talk we've just done. Like, if it's somebody that has to now get through a more rigorous, and let's be honest, they do have to go through more rigorous process with the EFL. If they get through that, then we are probably, even if they aren't the best owners in the world, they should be better than Chansiri, because Chansiri wouldn't pass the test anymore.
No, definitely not.
And this signals to me that even this one doesn't go through, right? It's moving. It's moving. We see the Gasama block being put on. We see, which would make more sense that on the same day that this news comes out, a potential move for Gasama that's had a medical and everything gets blocked, right? That's a new owner going, hang on, we've agreed on this. No. Do not do that. We want to come in and make that decision ourselves, because we've still got just under 2 months of a transfer window left. Let us make these decisions ourselves.
Yeah.
And Oh my God, Jack, I might actually be getting optimistic and positive. I know this probably won't go through because it's Chancery, but I feel a little bit of optimism from this for the first time in a long time. Can you feel it?
Yeah. I'm still of that. I'm still in that trauma response of like, I can't get excited because if I get excited, it won't happen. Do you know what I mean? That's
true.
That's
true.
That's how I feel. I'm not trying to knock anybody that doesn't feel that way and is excited, but that's my personal, like, how cautious I am about everything anyway. You know. But I really want it to be true. I really want... And also, the way... I find it funny how it's always phrased, because, like, they always phrase it as though it's going to take months and months and months and months to do all the due diligence, when it'll probably take, like, 1 to 2 weeks. So... if it is all agreed, it can move very, very quickly. Or
I think the position we're in with the EFL anyway, the EFL are working with Wednesday quite closely, so yeah, I reckon
it would get done quite in a quick manner-ish.
They've now got a responsibility to make sure players are paid, staff are paid. So I think we'd be quite high on the priority list of making these checks happen.
Yeah.
I think I do obviously don't want any exceptions to be made. I want the checks to be done properly. And if these guys don't pass the fit and proper owner test, then they shouldn't take over in ownership. Yeah. But if they do, then I reckon the EFL can help us speed this up, because the position they're in now, it's like they could be, can you imagine the stick they would get if they dragged their heels with this and Wednesday had players just leave because of the break of contract when there was an option there.
Mm-hmm.
There was an option there for people to come in and keep these players, keep things running. We've got, I guess the benefit is, I don't know, it's still a fine line though, because if this doesn't happen now, I think this has to happen, Jack, because otherwise Chancery's got to find the money.
Yep, and he won't be able to do that. I don't think he'll be able to do that personally, but...
He's only got a few days left, I think, to do it. So this is why this has to happen.
And also bearing in mind, when the new ownership comes in, we won't be fully out of the embargo sort of status. We will have, at worst, we'll stay in the big main embargoes and all the rest of it. But at best, when Derby got taken over and they got put on that business plan where they were only allowed to spend X amount on players and X amount on wages and all that sort of stuff, we'll be in probably one of those for a season or two before...
Which is better than having no club
okay,
left.
Fine, great. There you go. Have at it. Which I understand, and I think that's more than reasonable, personally, after the last 10 years of mismanagement. I'm happy with that.
I think that is... My hope for this, Jack, is whichever party it is, and there's lots of parties floating about, that they have proper football people in.
Yes.
And it's done properly and it's done right from the off. Look, I'm expecting it to be a struggle either way this season. They're going to have their hands stuck. They might not be able to make any sort of anything but freeze and free or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And if they have to work in that market, I don't expect Wednesday to be turned around immediately. But what I would like to see is progress. And the indication here is we might have progress, Jack, for the first time.
And if they can't immediately go ham on the player front, then I want to see them going ham on facilities. Okay, great. You have to dip into the free agent market. Great. We'll spend a load of money on a training ground or on stadium improvements, not just repairs, that sort of stuff.
Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point, Jack. That's a really, really good point. There we go. I've just praised you immediately because you could do that, actually. If your hands are tied in a way that you can't spend on players, which, again, let's be honest, they can be assets, but they can also be depreciating assets.
Yeah.
You spend the money that you want, not all of it, but you can put a significant amount into the facilities and upgrade Wednesday and do what Chancery should have done when he came in. Yep. Put the money into the facilities. And then we become a more of attractive... Actually, I quite like that, Jack. Stop it. This is too positive. We don't have positivity in Wednesday anymore. We probably won't.
If new owners want to come in and immediately make a good impression, you don't just go for let's splash the cash on bloody these massive name signings. You go, okay, you wanted a better training complex. Here's a friggin' state-of-the-art whatever it is. There you go. Here we're now making the academy grade 1. oh, look, we've got all of these staff that we've just hired to make the academy training better. All of that sort of stuff, you know? Oh, look, do you remember those blueprints for the World Cup upgrades to Hillsborough? Look at what we're implementing. It's those plans, or, you know, some other new drawn up thing. Like, if you what from
Alan
the
Biggs
get-go.
has followed up with he doesn't know, so it could be Texter, but he's followed up with a tweet saying don't know which one, but I've heard that Tillman for Tish, I don't want to say how that's spelled, FERIT for USA businessman, sports entrepreneur, and media personality mentioned as one of the contenders. So in the sports world there. Because there is rumours that there's 2 USA things. I think the Shaw one's gone quiet, and I don't think that's going to happen, which is potentially a good thing if they didn't put the money where the mouth was. And then there's this Monaco-based party. But I'm not opposed to having... I think Texter's not as bad as some people make out, and I know people disagree with me on that, but I think he's better than Chansiri. He's got the right people in place. So whether who it be... I don't care who it is in this regard. If they pass the fit and proper persons test, it gets us out of the Chansiri clutches. If it happens in the next couple of days, it stops Wednesday falling further and losing players. I can only see this as a positive, Jack. An agreement has been made. There's a lot to now talk out and sort out, I guess. But it's positive for once.
Finally.
Right, moving on to, this is from the Southampton site. Saints signed Satoru Kakai to join under-21. Southampton Football Club is delighted to announce the signing of midfielder Satoru Kakai, who joins the club's academy on his first professional contract. The 18-year-old midfielder arrives after his departure from Sheffield Wednesday and will link up with the under-21s on a deal that keeps him at the club until 2027. Kakai rose through the ranks in recent seasons at Wednesday since he joined their youth scholarship for his youth setup for his scholarship years and enjoyed an impressive 24-25 campaign before his move to the South Coast. The youngster was a regular at under-18s level and featured it for the under-21s, as well as gaining experience in the first team training with the Yorkshire side. Quote, "It's what I've worked for all my life to sign my first professional contract. I can't wait to get started," Kakai said after his arrival. "With the history of the club bringing a lot of young players through, I thought this was the perfect pathway for me to exceed in my career," end quote. Director of the group talent strategy, Andy Goldie, added, "Satoru is another positive addition to the under-21s, adding quality and competition to our midfield pathway. He brings a different dynamic to the profile we already have, providing real athleticism and a vision which he maximizes, particularly in transition. It was these qualities that attracted Morelia and her team to make him our first under-21s acquisition of the summer, and we look forward to developing those further over the next 2 seasons," end quote. Again, this is the state of academy football, Jack. We lose a prospect before he signs his first professional deal here. The fact that Southampton are interested, obviously he talks about their academy there, that we know they've got a good academy, so it does suggest that we've lost a good one here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think his quote about this was the perfect pathway to exceed in my career. It's all about pathways to the first team. That's what it's all about, and it's clear that that's the waters of that are very muddy at Sheffield Wednesday, and we know that that's been the case for the last X amount of years. For some bizarre reason, we've just not wanted to actually trust the under-21s that are possibly ready to actually properly make that step up. There's a few that have come through the cracks and have done that, but it's like 1 or 2. It's not whole groups of them. I know Joss Lukai tried that years ago, and it actually seemed to be working somewhat, and then they all got released, even though they actually looked decent, in my opinion. And I think that's part of it. There's no pathway. It's just, okay, we've got the academy. We've got a grade 2 academy, but that means that you've got to then have a vision to let those players progress through to the first team. But that's clearly not been the case. And honestly, Southampton's got arguably one of the best academies in the country, and historically so. And why wouldn't you want to go there when you've got the current situation at Sheffield Wednesday that means things are going to get cut? Spending on things are going to get cut under the current ownership anyway. I just wish him luck. He definitely seemed like he was one of the more talented under-21s as well. So I do think it's a bit of a loss, but I just wish him luck because if he's going to succeed anywhere, it'll probably be from their academy, won't it? So.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't blame a player for going there. I do have to say on it, like, it is annoying the way the academy system works. I think there needs to be better protection for clubs lower down the football pyramid. That they can just be poached for nominal fees and compensation and things like that. I just don't think it's right when they've spent time developing. But it is the way football currently works. Yeah. I don't have much more to say on that. It's just disappointing.
Well, this interestingly, the comparison is this is how Birmingham have done very well in combating this, is that as soon as players in their academy turn 18, they get a professional deal. That's the ethos they've adopted. And they've said,
yeah, well, he was offered one, I believe, if rumours are to believe, and he turned it down to go to Southampton. So the club, the club couldn't do anything more. You can get them to sign professional deals in place. So, for example, I believe, and this, I'm not sure on this. I believe the reason we got the fee for young cads was we'd already put the professional deal in place, but it was a kind of a pre-signing thing. Yeah. So it would have been activated sort of thing. So rather than go through the whole legal thing with that, we'd protected him from that. So you can do that with really, really high talented young prospects, but then you run the risk of them turning 18 and not being the player they were at 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why clubs tend to not do it. So there is a way around it. It's just a little bit more awkward. And again, the loopholes, all of that. But Jack, we can end on a bit of a positive sort of potentially seeing how this takeover develops over the course of the day. This podcast will come out the day after, but I will have put the clip out about that takeover literally as soon as I get your files over, even editing it in this sweatbox. But do you have anything to add before we end this episode of Talking Wednesday?
My clairvoyance prediction is that we will get a lot of concrete news in the next maybe week or two, maybe 2 weeks.
I could be sitting down with you tomorrow and we've got a takeover.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be ringing you going, well, be like, Jack, we need to do a podcast now.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these things can move very quickly. And I think even I'm being very cautious, but if you want to be hopeful, you can be hopeful. And I just think, yeah. Also, drink lots of water when it's really hot because you don't want heat stroke. I've had heat stroke before. It's horrible.
Yes. And with that rug on your head hiding that widow's peak, it must be
I'm actually growing my hair out. My plan was to actually grow my hair out to be like Aragorn length, just to see what I look like over the next.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. I grew my hair out. I can't say anything. I'm trying to picture you with long hair now, and I'm just.
Imagine Jon Snow in season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, or like, I don't know, Boromir in Lord of the Rings, or something like that. That's the length I'm aiming for after like a year.
Well, given that the audience thinks you're balding, you might have to grow it out before you lose it.
You know what's really funny? Someone actually did. I once encountered someone that listens to the podcast fairly recently when I was in Sheffield watching Norwich. And they actually said they're shocked that I'm not balding. They were actually surprised that, no, I just have a big forehead. So that was really funny.
Lift that fringe back.
Pardon?
Lift that fringe back.
No. You're going to have to. No, you can't make me. No. Anyway, we'll just waffle. It's hot, James. It's hot. What are your thoughts at the end of the episode?
My thoughts are I've got to go and do some work later, so I've got to get this podcast out and try not to melt. Because I put an ice cube in this 20 minutes ago, and this is now blowing out hot air again.
Oh, nice.
I put a full-on like ice pack in there, so that's warm, and it's just take care of yourselves in this heat, guys. And I think Jake will be back shortly, but I've enjoyed having Jack on. We might have to reintegrate you into the fold. Well, you're not talking absolute waffle. You're half decent. But take care, guys, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See you later.